Got a sunburn to peel the daggers off your tongue. Young and dumb, I'm rotting like a bed sore in a cold case that's never gonna be more than scratching at the walls while you're waiting for a bullet to come. All along I've been treading in the deep end, throw my mirror in the cupboard for the weekend. Try and put together pieces while I'm dreaming, but nothing's adding up to a thing but a hole in the head.
Have an opportunity here to provide leadership, support, and a voice to the voiceless. The sacrifices that we made during our service do not end here. We carry on, we push forward, and we give hope and inspiration through love, community, and support. Stay free.
Rights and freedoms in this country are absolutely everything to me, because I personally know the sacrifice required in order to get them back once they're gone. So, when my brothers and sisters call stand 2, be sure I'll be there.
Legacy media will play their games, right? Like, this isn't about this or that. This is about freedom, period.
The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Brothers and sisters in uniform, whether you're a police officer, military, check your hearts. Look where we're going. Man, wake up. I beg you.
If the veterans can't stand up and get a message across to the government, I don't know who can. I don't know. But we're going to give it our best shot. And I think we have a chance to win this and do it. But we need your help. And we need you to come, and we need you to stand too. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk again soon.
Woke pirates, yes they rob, sold out to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy. The 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Redemption songs.
Hey, what's up, troops? Jeff Evely, the Magnanimous GenX'er male, back with you now on this 12th day of March 2024. All right, I got a great show lined up for you guys here today, and I'm going to go ahead and say my good mornings before we get into her. Good afternoon for me, because I'm out on the Atlantic coast. But good day to everybody. Chris Freestone, first one on the board over on YouTube. How you doing, brother? Good to have you on board. Susan is here, says, hey, Jeff, brother. Susan, I really enjoyed your video from there yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it, Susan was really giving some of the hospital staff an earful for trying to make her wear a mask while she was just there for a mammogram, for crying out loud. Calling the OPP and all kinds of crap. These tyrants are petty. And Lynn is here saying, watching from northeastern Ontario. Right on. Ontario. I hope you have a motorcycle. And Brian says, blessings from Ontario. Blessings to you. And Jumbo Go Away, giving us the triple slashy. Rob is here saying good morning, afternoon, everybody. And is saying good morning from Alberta. Good morning to the Westerners. Special appreciation to you guys for being with me so early. Colleen says, hello, finally on time. This time change sucks. Yeah. I don't know why we're always changing the time. It does suck. And Cindy says, good afternoon, Jeff Hertz. Day off for me today, almost 70 Fahrenheit. Almost 70. Is it, friends? Right on. Right on. Okay, so and Patricia is here saying good afternoon, working again. So I just wanted to say hello, and I'll catch up later. Patricia, thanks for dropping in. I do appreciate it. And Dale says, hey, troops, mind if I come? No, we don't mind at all. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. Oh, here's Stephanie saying good morning, friends, giving us the XOXO. Good morning to you. All right, let's go ahead and dive into her here, guys. We have Christopher Hitchens here for our quote here for today. He's one of my favorite authors, actually. At one point in my life, like earlier on, I was like making it a goal of mine to read everything he's ever written, but he's just so prolific a writer. I don't think that's feasible within a human lifetime. Okay, so here is Christopher Hitchens, and he says, never be a spectator of unfairness or stupidity. Seek out argument and disputation for their own sake. The grave will supply plenty of time for silence. And that has been a bit of a guiding mantra of mine since I first read it in Letters to a Young Contrarian. It's an awesome book. Feel free to give that one a read. You won't regret it. It's actually, it's not a really long book either, but for somebody like me, it was very helpful. And here's our meme for the day. And we have a construction worker, and he's sitting here with a nice big smile on his face. And the caption reads, "Man struggling to feed his family, just happy he can fund a war with his taxes." Yeah, that's about the size of things here in Canada for today. And anyway, it's a sad state of affairs, but we might as well have a few laughs while we're on the way down. Speaking of laughs, here's where the title of the program comes from for today: potentially unsafe content. I was trying to get an image of Justin Trudeau as Big Brother from 1984, and I went and I typed this into the AI image generator. This is whichever AI this is, I don't know. And it came back with this message. It says the system detected potentially unsafe content. Please try again or adjust the prompt. For paid accounts, you can enable allowed unfiltered content in your profile settings. Okay, so I don't have a paid account. Maybe if I did, this wouldn't be a big deal, but it was just too much to not share. So, I mean, I already had a title and everything all worked out. I was just making the flyer, and I went to try to get an image of Justin Trudeau looking like Big Brother, and they came back, the system detected potentially unsafe content. Imagine that. Okay, so probably a harbinger of things to come in light of Bill C-63. All right, and here is Jen Specht on Twitter, and they say, get ready for Detrans Awareness Day tomorrow, March 12th. So this is from yesterday, but today, March 12th, is Detrans Awareness Day. And if you're not aware, there are an awful lot of children who have been had their fertility sacrificed on the altar of wokeness to the gods of certain people's self-righteousness. And we still have this problem in Canada, even though the UK, Denmark, Sweden, Norway have all banned this practice of sexually butchering kids into permanent medical patients under the marketing banner of gender transitioning them. But Detrans Awareness is today. So there are a lot of these kids, young people, Gen Z, who've been coming out and just talking about how egregiously they've been victimized by the systems that were put in place to promote their health and protect them. But all right, I'll read the rest of the tweet here. It says, Gen Spec and Beyond Trans, Gen Spec PT have received an incredible array of submissions for this year's hashtag Detrans Awareness Day. From thought-provoking articles to heartfelt poems, stunning paintings, and breathtaking illustrations, the creativity and resilience of detransitioners and those beyond transition are truly shining through. Check out our program that showcases unique perspectives and experiences. Huge thanks to Get Better Tweets for her beautiful illustration that served as the inspiration for this year's theme. Stay tuned tomorrow throughout the day as we uplift the voices of detransitioners. Yes, please. And I've shown videos from detransitioners on here before. Chloe Cole is a really big one down in the United States there, and also Duchess Lois on Twitter. The Duchess Lois of Alberta on Twitter is a detransitioner in Alberta. So male to female detransitioner that is transitioning back to male and has had an awful lot of problems with the phalloplasty, even applied for MAID because this person was suffering so much. And this is an Indigenous person as well. I've shown the videos. It's Indigenous youth. It's just been ruined now due to our healthcare system. And of course, all 338 MPs voted for Bill C-4 to jail any parent who tries to protect their child from suffering the same fate. So we have a detransitioners network here in Canada, and they are heavily suppressed, of course. The detransitioners subreddit was famously deleted from Reddit there a few years ago. Nobody wants these people to be able to speak out. And Rob is saying no such thing as a trans kid, only kids confused by the SOGI 123 curriculum. Yeah, it's indoctrination. And what you're saying there, I think, is reminiscent of something that Richard Dawkins, this goes in line, I guess, with Christopher Hitchens' quote as the four horsemen of the apocalypse, or the new atheist movement from when the boomers were leading the new atheist movement. And Richard Dawkins used to share a picture that said a Christian child, a Muslim child, and a Jewish child all together. And a nice enough of a sentiment, but Richard Dawkins would say there's no such thing as a Christian child, or a a Muslim child or a Jewish child. They're all just indoctrinated. And that's essentially what we have right now, is this new religion of wokeism, and transgenderism being one of its tenets. We live under their theocracy at the moment, and there's no such thing as a transgender child, just somebody who's been deeply indoctrinated and abused. Okay, so here is End Wokeness, and they were tweeting about this, and they say, Jeopardy asked about Zemzer's himself pronouns during last night's show. How would you answer this? So this was actually from last month, but this is one heck of a clip here from Jeopardy.
Parts of speech 6.
Zem, Zers, Zemself. Chris.
What are pronouns?
Those are pronouns, neo-pronouns. You have 62.
Parts of speech 6.
Yeah. So I don't know that those are real pronouns. I think they're probably made up by this religion. But and Anne is saying they're being silenced. Yeah, the detransitioners, they are being silenced. I've shown some clips here on the past of some of these people that are so bravely speaking out. But like I said, they've been absolutely silenced all over social media, and we're not allowed to know these things in Canada. Here's Michael Schellenberger, and he says the WPATH files. So WPATH is the World Professionals Association for Transgender Health. And they have really taken a hit in this year in particular in terms of their membership. I think it's been cut to about a third of what it once was. So WPATH files, advocates of gender affirming care say it's evidence-based, but now newly released internal files from the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, WPATH, prove that the practice of transgender medicine is neither scientific nor medical. American Medical Association, the Endocrine Society, and American Academy of Pediatrics, and thousands of doctors worldwide rely on WPATH. It is considered the leading global authority on gender medicine. And yet WPATH's internal files, which include written discussions and video, reveal that its members know they are creating victims and not getting quote-unquote informed consent. Victims include a 10-year-old girl, a 13-year-old developmentally delayed adolescent, and individuals suffering from schizophrenia and other serious mental illnesses. The injuries described in the WPATH files include sterilization, loss of sexual function, liver tumors, and death. WPATH members indicate repeatedly that they know that many children and their parents don't understand the effects of puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries will have on their bodies, and yet they continue to perform and advocate for gender medicine. The WPATH files prove that gender medicine is comprised of unregulated and pseudoscientific experiments on children, adolescents, and vulnerable adults. It will go down as one of the worst medical scandals in history. And he's sharing out this graphic. There's a link here to some article on this, and he's sharing out the graphic. The WPATH files, pseudoscientific, surgical, and hormonal experiments on children, adolescents, and vulnerable adults, embargoed until whatever that is, March 5th, 2024, not for circulation, do not share. So this is the report that was internal, and it was released and is making the rounds in the media right now. Well, I mean, not mainstream media, but they know their own internal correspondence. You can see it says not for circulation, do not share, but it was leaked, and they know what's going on with these kids. I think I'm going to go ahead and click on this article anyway. Let's have a look at it. And this is from Environmental Progress, and that's what it says: is leaked files from WPATH reveal widespread medical and malpractice on children and vulnerable adults at Global Transgender Healthcare Authority. World Professional Association for Transgender Health, WPATH members demonstrate a lack of consideration for long-term patient outcomes despite being aware of the debilitating and potentially fatal side effects of cross-sex hormones and other treatments. And they have the full report here if you guys want to go check that out. That doesn't look like a lot. I think I'll go ahead and I'll read some of this because this is like such an important topic. And today is the Detransitioners Awareness Day. So here we go. Newly leaked files from within the leading global transgender healthcare body have revealed that the clinicians who shape how quote-unquote gender medicine is regulated and practiced around the world consistently violate medical ethics and informed consent. The files, which were leaked from the World Professionals Association for Transgender Health, WPATH, were published today by US-based think tank Environmental Progress. WPATH is considered the leading global scientific and medical authority on gender medicine, and in recent decades decades, its standards of care have shaped the guidance, policies, and practices of governments, medical associations, public health systems, and private clinics around the world. And that is what you will hear from these practitioners too, these so-called medical practitioners. Whenever you try to ask them, how they know what the hell they're doing, they will refer you back to the standards of care, and you'll see this like in testimony that's given in the comments and everything. Everybody refers back to. I saw it in the United States too. Like they're looking into this in the U.S. and that's what they all do is they just refer back to the standards of care. The standards of care. We're following the standards of care. Okay, well, where did they come from? How do you guys know that any of this stuff is even real? Okay, back to the article. However, the WPATH files reveals that the organization does not meet the standards of evidence-based medicine, and the members frequently discuss improvising treatments as they go along. Members are fully aware that children and adolescents cannot comprehend the lifelong consequences of quote-unquote gender-affirming care, and in some cases, due to the poor health literacy, neither can their parents. Quote, the WPATH files show that what is called gender medicine is neither science nor medicine, close quote, said Michael Schallenberger, president and founder of Environmental Progress. Quote, the experiments are not randomized, double-blind, or controlled. It's not medicine since the first rule is to do no harm, and that requires informed consent, close quote. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, how can these children give any kind of informed consent? They have no idea. Like, we don't even let them get tattoos because we recognize that they really have no appreciation for the long-term consequences of their actions as adolescents. And we've turned adolescents against their parents in schools, so that they're more vulnerable to this kind of indoctrination and butchery. Okay, back to this. The raw files have been published in a report called the WPATH Files: Pseudoscientific Surgical and Hormonal Experiments on Children, Adolescents, and Vulnerable Adults, which contains analysis by journalist Mia Hughes that puts the WPATH files in the context of the best available science on gender distress. Environmental Progress has made all the files available to read, and at the end of the report, the leaked files included screenshots of posts from WPATH's internal messaging forum dated from 2021 to 2024 and a video of the internal panel discussion. All names have been redacted, other than several WPATH members of public significance, such as Dr. Marcy Bowers, an American gynecologist and surgeon who is the president of WPATH, and the Canadian pediatric endocrinologist, Dr. Danielle Metzger. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see a Canadian in there. In the WPATH files, members demonstrate a lack of consideration for long-term patient outcomes despite being aware of the debilitating and potentially fatal side effects of cross-sex hormones and other treatments. Messages in the files show that patients with severe mental health issues such as schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder and other vulnerabilities such as homelessness are being allowed to consent to hormonal and surgical interventions. Members dismiss concerns about these patients and characterize efforts to protect them as unnecessary, quote-unquote, gatekeeping. The files provide clear evidence that doctors and therapists are aware they are offering minors life-changing treatments they cannot fully understand. WPATH members know that puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries will cause infertility and other complications, including cancer and pelvic floor dysfunction. Yet they consider life-altering medical interventions for young patients, including vaginoplasty for a 14-year-old and hormones for developmentally delayed 13-year-old. Yeah, this is the sickest thing that's ever happened in Canada. And puberty blockers is also a marketing term, by the way. It's called Lupron. It's a cancer drug that also happens to induce medical menopause, and they're giving that to adolescent girls as a puberty blocker. It's being prescribed off-label, as in the way that doctors were not allowed to prescribe ivermectin during the pandemic, off-label. The WPATH files also show how far medical experiments on gender medicine have gone, with discussions about surgeons performing quote-unquote nullification and other extreme body modification procedures to create body types that do not exist in nature. A growing number of medical and psychiatric professionals say the promotion of pseudoscientific surgical and hormone experiments is a global medical scandal that compares to major incidents of medical malpractice in history, such as lobotomies and ovariotomies. That's a tough one. Okay. Quote, activist members of WPATH know that the so-called gender-affirming care they provide can result in lifelong complications and sterility, and their patients do not understand the implications such as loss of sexual function and the ability to experience orgasm, close quote, Schellenberger said. Quote, these leaked files show overwhelming evidence that the professionals within WPATH know that they are not getting consent from children, adolescents, and vulnerable adults or their caregivers, close quote. Environmental Progress has written to every WPATH member named in the files, as well as additional members whose names have been redacted to confirm their comments and offer right of reply. 2 people responded. One confirmed that the comments attributed to them were correct, and another did not deny their comments, but refuted Environmental Progress's interpretation of them. Mention of Environmental Progress's outreach to members via email was then later seen in the form of comments in the WPATH's internal messaging forum. Yeah, I bet they were. The getting consent from children, adolescents, and their caregivers. No, that's not required, especially in Canada. Like if you're a caregiver of a child who's being stalked by one of these pediatric gender clinics, then they'll just call the cops on you. You know, if you try to oppose them. I remember seeing a few years ago there was the head of child services in Ontario there that was actually on the news and saying, if you refuse to affirm your child's gender, if you don't use their pronouns in the home, we will take them out of the home. So it's sick and it's scary and like I say, it's the sickest thing that's ever happened in Canada. Okay, here's Pamela Garfield Jager, and she's saying it's Detrans Awareness Day. Here is a throwback from last year's rally at Sacramento, California, video by Heritage. Okay, and I'll go ahead.
Just walking on the street, like what a detransitioners awareness rally is.
This is the awareness of all of the harms that gender medicine has done to pretty much anybody who will be honest about what they have been through.
What this event is about is we're just bringing awareness to detransitioners, because if you look at the media right now, you only see that it's the transition perspective, that it's good, it's healthy, that their life is sunshine and rainbows, but the dark side that most people don't understand is that people like myself and the other speakers who were speaking today, we're in pain, our bodies are failing.
What led you to decide you wanted to talk about this publicly?
I got to the point where I was like, it doesn't help anyone if I just stay in my room and mope about things. I care about kids getting that chance to grow up whole. I really do. I've worked with kids in the past, and they have a certain magic and innocence to them that deserves to be protected.
Us detransitioners, we're not taking it seriously. There's not resources specifically for us.
The medical systems that even pioneered the idea of giving kids puberty blockers, they have reversed course on this and decided that letting kids grow up whole with actual help is the best course. And that makes me hopeful. I just hope the US doesn't take.
Yeah. So these are real people. They're being silenced, and they're in for a lifetime of suffering as a permanent medical patient, thanks to our systems. Amazing Faces over on Rumble is saying, good morning, Jeff and V4F team. You're absolutely right, Jeff. Thank you. Yes, I am. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but let's just say I'm right about everything. All right. Okay, so here's Hazel, and she's saying puberty is so impressive in being able to be a healthy adult. Puberty is so imperative in being able to be a healthy adult, and we're robbing people of it. And that's a quote from this video here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just play it. This is Richie, aka Tulip R, who is a detransitioner. So here's their story.
Been saying this for a while. It hurts you long term. Think about it. Like, I don't know how many years I've shaved off my life. I don't know when I'm going to die, but I don't think, from what I've done, from what I understand and how the hormones work and long-term hormone impacts, I know I have shortened my life statistically based on the available information. Cardiovascular disease, stroke, heart disease, the cancer risk, the osteoporosis, autoimmunity issues, you name any one of those, and I'm at a heightened risk for that. I don't know, and I'm not going to say that, but the younger you get, the worse it gets. Puberty gives your body a chance to develop your bones, your muscles, your whole body structure, your brain, everything. It's so imperative in being able to be a healthy adult. and we're robbing people from it, and they've got nowhere else to turn. Okay.
Yeah, it is sad and tragic, as you were pointing out in the comments here. And he mentioned, I don't know how long I'm going to survive. So I just went ahead and pulled up a reference that I use quite often here. This is a long-term follow-up of transsexual persons undergoing sex reassignment surgery cohort study in Sweden. I still think this is probably the best data that we have, although there was a more recent study that just came out in the last year, I think. Now, here is any cause of death matched on sex at birth. So this is a graph that we're looking at for those of you just listening. And the solid lines, black is for males and solid line gray is for females. So this is the normal mortality curve for males and females near the top. And then we have the transitioners here in the dashed line. So male to female is the dark dashed line, and female to male is the gray dashed line. And as you can see, their survivability just drops off right at about 10 to 12 years out from the transition here. They start dying off like flies, and it just goes down, down, down all the way out to 30 years post transition. Yeah, it's sick and tragic, and but it's Detrans Awareness Day. Like, this is I think a very important topic. It's something I cover here quite a bit. And here's End Wokeness, and they say Canada is trying to pass a new law that will crack down on hate on the, quote, internet or any other means of telecommunication, close quote. So this is in reference to Bill C-63, and they have one of the sections here, Amendment to the Act, Section 4 of the Canadian Human Rights Act, is replaced by the following. And we've covered this here before. I did a couple of deeper dives into Bill C-63 there. It really is just bringing like pre-thought crime into the criminal code. So there's like the pre-crime of Minority Report and the thought crime of 1984, all wrapped up into one. And, snitches can report people for suspicion of they may commit a thought crime in the future. So this is pre-thought crime, upwards of $70,000 in fines for anybody accused of it, and you don't get to know your accuser. I say $70,000 because it's $20,000 for the accuser, so it incentivizes abuse. You could just get say 3 of these things pushed through a year, and you got a pretty good income off of it. And also the government takes their cut. They get 50 grand. So it's $70,000 if you're convicted of this pre-thought crime. Back to this tweet. The bill would allow judges to sentence a person to life in prison for certain top offenses, such as advocating genocide. Yeah, I don't think that's going to apply to the From the River to the Sea crowd, though. For lower levels of quote unquote hate propaganda, that involves detestation or vilification and, quote, stronger than disdain or dislike. Okay. And Wokeness is picking this up, guys, and that's from March 1st. So it's getting international attention. We're getting all kinds of international attention these days, and not for any of the good stuff. But I think that works in our favor, right? This is what we want. And here's Margaret Atwood. She's been pretty good, calling out a lot of this these Orwellian laws that are coming down the pipe on speech. And this is the Globe and Fail. This is not a paid article. So you can check that out if you want. And here is Margaret Atwood. It says, calls online harms bill Orwellian, notes potential for abuse. And this was just updated an hour ago, so very current. Acclaimed author Margaret Atwood has warned that the federal government's online harms bill is quote unquote Orwellian, and its definitions of punishable hate speech are vague and could invite abuse, such as unwarranted complaints under the Canadian Human Rights Act. Miss Atwood said, yeah, I mean, doesn't everybody remember Miss Shave My Balls, Jessica Yaniv? That's exactly the kind of thing. We're going to have Jessica Yanives running around everywhere here, getting people fined and ruining lives for not wanting to shave their balls. Well, it'll be even less offensive than that, I think. But yeah, I mean, this is just going to have us at each other's throats, divide and conquer, and it's going to result in all this litigation. That's going to be it's another one of these destabilizing of forces in Canada. Back to the article. Miss Atwood said that she has been the frequent target of, quote, hate speech, online vilification, threats, lies, threats, and doxing, close quote, and is, quote, no fan of this kind of online behavior, close quote. But in an email exchange with the Global Mail, she said she is, quote, also no fan of unsupervised authority acting under vague laws without any oversight, close quote. That's the human rights commissions in general, I think. On Friday, she posted on X her concerns about, quote, Trudeau's Orwellian online harms bill, close quote, after reading an article about it in The Spectator. Quote, if this account of the bill is true, it's letters to cachet all over again, close quote, she wrote, referring to letters once signed by the King of France with orders to enforce arbitrary judgments. Yeah, we're definitely backsliding here, folks. Quote, the possibilities for revenge, false accusations, and thought crime stuff are so inviting, close quote, she added. Miss Atwood was referring to George Orwell's novel 1984 about a dystopian society where, quote unquote, thought crimes are punishable under the totalitarian state of Oceania. The regime's thought police conduct constant surveillance to suppress free thought and expression, while the Ministry of Truth pumps out propaganda to crush individuality and manipulate the news and history. In Miss Atwood's acclaimed novel, The Handmaid's Tale, which was made into a film and Emmy Award-winning TV series, the patriarchal Gilead regime suppresses freedom of speech to curtail dissent and reinforce its authority. I always thought The Handmaid's Tale was a little bit of a dumb idea, quite frankly. Especially since the trend is always in the other direction. Like women seem to be raising in their social profiles or moving upward, not downward. So it seems like she's got the trend flipped, just as a basic kind of starting point. Back to the article. Justice Minister Arifa Virani, who is shepherding the online harms bill through the Commons, responded to Miss Atwood's post on X, saying he was, quote, happy to discuss it, close quote. Yeah, and just one other thought on this. Like, I think this should show you, the fact that Margaret Atwood is coming out about this, and she's got this dystopian third wave feminist view on the world. Like, women are going to be treated as chattel at some way in the near future. I think this works very much in her favor because she's clearly got a pretty progressive lens over the world, and even she sees just how tyrannical these progressives are getting. Okay. Back to the article. Quote, grateful for your interest in the Online Harms Act, which would keep kids safe, apply existing laws to the online world and address the rise in hate. But the article you've shared mischaracterizes the bill, close quote, he told the award-winning author. Well, you know what? And this is the thing, like, just because you put the word online in there doesn't mean that it's allowed. Like, if harms are prohibited under the criminal code, then just because you do them online doesn't mean that they're not prohibited. Like, defamation online would still apply, and targeted harassment, threats of violence, like incitement, all of these things. There's nothing in the criminal code that says unless you do it online, you'll be prohibited. You'll be punished under all these different components of the criminal code, except if you do it online. That's not a thing. Okay, so back to the article. Ms. Ferrani directed Ms. Atwood to an article from the Canadian Press that reported him saying he had listened to victims of hate and judges would have to take a series of steps before restricting a person's movement because of fears they may commit a hate crime. Bill C-63, the Online Harms Bill, was introduced last month and would usher in measures to combat hate online, allowing people to complain to Canada's Human Rights Commission about hateful posts. People deemed to have been subjected to hate speech online could receive as much as $20,000 in compensation if they are named, and such posts would have to be taken down. Yeah, you don't say. So, if you're critical of things like gender ideology, then you're probably going to end up dragged before one of these human rights tribunals and having your financial life ruined. Okay. But some lawyers have expressed concern that the measures have put a chill on free speech, saying many people do not know what constitutes hate speech and would avoid expression in their views to avoid complaints and big fines. Miss Atwood, whose literary awards include Booker and Giller prizes, wondered whether people might try to cash in by making complaints of hate speech. She also expressed unease that the new power might lead to people making false accusations. Yes, case in point being Jessica Yaniv. When I don't know what his real name is. The acclaimed author and Alias Grace and the Blind Assassin warned that, quote, the definition or lack of them in the law as to what constitutes punishable speech and or thought are so vague as to invite abuse, close quote. The clause in the bill would allow a judge to impose a peace bond with restrictions on liberty, including house arrest and an electronic tag on someone, quote unquote, feared to be about to post hate propaganda online or carry out hate crime, even if they have not yet done so. A new power, which would require the approval of both the Attorney General and the judge, could be used to restrain someone deemed to pose a threat. The restrictions could apply for up to a year, 2 years if the person subject to the peace bond has a previous conviction for hate propaganda or a hate crime. And the other thing about this is it's like the house arrest. You know, it's they're tracking people. I'm pretty sure like you can get online from your phone. So what does that have to do with like why would they have to restrict your movement instead of simply well, obviously it's to punish people. It's to punish political dissidents, right? Miss Atwood said she had been referring to the clause when she posted a reference to the Orwellian quote-unquote thought crime. She alluded to periods in history when accused people were denied fair trials, such as during the Spanish Inquisition, the French Revolution, when the law of 22 Prairial denied the accusation and effective right of self-defense, and the Salem witch trials of 1962 to 1963, when, quote, spectral evidence, close quote, led to 19 people, mainly women, being hanged for allegedly practicing witchcraft. And what I'm going to point out here is she's making reference to a bunch of fourth turnings in history, like the Salem witch trials, the French Revolution, the Spanish Inquisition. Those are all fourth turnings, the likes of which we are living through right now. And if you're new to this program, then I'll just give you the quick and dirty. The fourth turning is the demographic crisis that we enter into every 4 generations. Ours started in 2008 with the global financial collapse. The previous one started with the 1929 stock collapse, and the previous one culminated in the Second World War. Ours culminated with the 2020 pandemic, and we're due to come out of this sometime between 2026 and 2030. But yeah, this is what happens in a fourth turning. Gender roles narrow, and we see the state, the apparatchik of the state, go absolutely tyrannical. And it's not the state per se; it's the people who are running the state, and that would be the Boomer generation. When the Boomer generation reaches peak institutional power, the generation born in the wake of the previous fourth turning, then they usher in the next crisis era. Okay, the online harms bill would establish a new hate crime offense, which would carry a possible life sentence in the most serious crimes, such as attempted murder. And that's, by the way, also why we see the same kind of recurring social trends. The bill would also require social media platforms to take steps to prevent children being exposed to online hate. Quote, if people really didn't want children subject to online harm, they would not permit them to have smartphones before a certain age, close quote, Miss Atwood said. Last year, Ms. Atwood raised concerns about the Online Streaming Act, Bill C-11, which makes platforms promote Canadian content. She said that, quote, bureaucrats should not be telling creators what to write, close quote. Thank you, Ms. Atwood. Her remarks were seized upon by the Conservative and Liberal MPs, including Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, and quoted in parliamentary debates. Yes, and I think it's Ms. Atwood, actually. I'm not sure. Isn't there, that was like some kind of a difference. Who was that? The author of Ms. Magazine, Gloria Steinem, I think, is the one who brought that in. Okay. Now, here is N wokeness. This is insane. Belgian politician Dries Van Legenhoeve was sentenced to 1 year in prison for being in a group chat with offensive memes. Free speech is on its deathbed. Yes, it is, but the tide, I think, is turning. And like I was just pointing out, we're in a fourth turning. It has a beginning, it has an end. So I don't think that it's a permanent state of affairs. And that was kind of the mistake that Orwell and Huxley, and I guess Atwood might be in that as well, is that, history doesn't really follow a linear trajectory, which is what we would have to assume in order to get to a place like 1984. It goes in a cycle. So once we get these greasy boomers out of the way, we can have our freedoms back. Okay, here is True North, and they say all charges have been dropped against the alleged leader of the Windsor protest that blockaded the Ambassador Bridge during a nationwide Freedom Convoy protest in February 2022. So they've got an article up there. I just wanted to throw that in because, like I've been saying, I think the tide is turning. We're starting to see lots of wins pile up here in 2024. I would be shocked if we didn't suffer a setback sometime before the American election. And somebody's let me know. It's Jonathan Yaniv. Jonathan Yaniv to Jessica Yaniv to Jessica Simpson. Right on. So yeah, this is another one of those wins. The Crown withdrew the charges against Ambassador Bridge protest organizers. And you know, I have had a couple of people ask me, they're like, what about your charges in Ottawa? Have they been dropped yet? And no, they haven't, but it seems like a lot of people are just sort of expecting that this stuff is they're gonna back down on a lot of this stuff, and they are. So that is good to see. And here is Todayville from Alberta. TDF funds defense of the quote unquote Coots 3. So TDF being the Democracy Fund, and so they're going to fund the defense of the Coots 3. And you know, again, this is a good sign. I think that the tide is turning, and we might be on schedule to actually end this thing sometime between 2026 and 2030. And it's not a democratic solution, it's a demographic solution. It's when Gen X displaces the boomer generation from peak institutional power. Okay, here's the article. The Coots 3, Marco van Hugenbos and Alex Van Kirk and George Jansen. Oh, sorry. News release from the Democracy Fund. A jury trial is expected to proceed after pretrial applications. Lethbridge. The Democracy Fund is funding the defense of 3 men charged with mischief in Lethbridge, Alberta. The men, known as the Coots 3, are Marco van Hugenbos, Alex Van Herk, and George Jansen. All 3 are alleged to have been leaders in the 17-day trucker protest against COVID-19 restrictions that shut down the Coots border in February of 2022. The matter is expected to proceed to a jury trial after pretrial applications are heard over the next few days. Jury trials are only available for serious criminal matters where the accused faces a maximum sentence of 5 years imprisonment or more. The men should not be confused with the Coots 4, who were among the 12 persons arrested in connection to an RCMP raid that resulted in the seizure of weapons and the end of the protest. According to Van Hugenbos, the message of the Coots protesters, quote, had been lost, close quote, following the arrests, and the border blockade was voluntarily dismantled. Donations for the 3 men can be made on this page. And here's a little bit about the Democracy Fund. So yeah, that's a step in the right direction. And isn't the Democracy Fund, I think that's Ezra Levance, isn't it? And he was the one who would not come to the defense of the Coots 4. So yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a pretty positive development. And in other news, here's a little bit on the not so positive front. Haiti has apparently descended into a cannibalistic hellhole. Well, I mean, and this was, I think, the country that Donald Trump actually called a shithole country just a few short years ago. And shame on him and all that racism that led what was it? The celebrities were all going around with "Haiti is already great" on their T-shirts. So all the Democrat celebrities and stuff like that. But and here we are, guys. This is Haiti. You know, being great. Okay, veteran hating rebel news, and they say the U.S. military evacuates non-essential personnel from Haiti as country spirals into anarchy. At the request of the Department of State, the U.S. military conducted an operation to augment the security of the U.S. Embassy at Port-au-Prince, allow our embassy mission operations to continue, and enable non-essential personnel to depart, the U.S. Central Command said in a statement. Yeah, I bet you all kinds of people are running for the embassy right about now. Over the weekend, violent gangs attempted to seize control of Port-au-Prince, forced the U.S. military to remove non-essential staff from Haiti. Quote, at the request, okay, that's the same quote. The precarious state of the island nation teeters on the brink of failure following the incursion of gangs into the Port-au-Prince jail, releasing thousands of criminals into the nation's streets. The impoverished country has faced a series of calamities ranging from significant earthquakes to political murders, the Daily Wire reports. Gangs have targeted the main international airport and police stations, raided ports and buildings, and obstructed the delivery of humanitarian assistance. Quote, the current the current security situation in Haiti is unpredictable and dangerous, close quote, the U.S. State Department said in a statement. Quote, we are aware that there are few or no commercial operations to depart Haiti safely at this time. As they become available, we urge U.S. citizens to take advantage of them, close quote. The U.S. Embassy's ability to assist citizens is severely limited, close quote, the statement added. The Biden administration has advised Americans in Haiti to steer clear of crowds, maintain a low profile, and be ready to stay indoors for an extended period at any given time. Avoid going out after dark and keep an eye on local news for updates on areas experiencing violence, protest, or disturbances. So yeah, it's and we were just in there after the earthquake in 2010. The Canadian Armed Forces deployed to Haiti to assist in the rebuilding there. So definitely taking a turn for the worse there now. Now, here's Dom Lucra, breaker of narratives on Twitter, and he's tweeting out exclusive on November 1st, 1998. Hillary Clinton took George Soros to Haiti to review the infrastructure, culture, and population of Haitian communities to help him decide where he wanted to invest his money. Today, Haitians are blaming George Soros and Hillary Clinton for the state of Haiti and the CIA for getting their former president, Jovenel Moise, assassinated on 7 July 2021 in his home in Port-au-Prince to control their government. We are currently seeing a revolution in Haiti led by former police officer and current gang leader named Barbecue against quote-unquote Western control. It makes everything plausible. That's what's terrifying. What's terrifying that if it's true, it proves that Democrats planned the demise of nations for decades in advance. Well, maybe. I don't think that they're competent, like I'm always saying. But yeah, my understanding of the current situation in Haiti, it has a lot to do with the Clinton support for the Duvalier family in particular. Duvalier was ousted from there several years ago. I don't know where he ended up. I think he's under the protection of the Clinton crime family somewhere. But they had all kinds of shady investments in there, and they kept their people impoverished so they could basically loot them and shovel money off to friends of the Clintons. But here is the video.
And is giving away his billions now with the same determination that he made them in places like Haiti, a country that has less money in the bank than he does. Last month, he brought the First Lady with him for a look at some of the projects his foundation is funding.
This is Mr. George Soros, and he's going to be helping the hospital.
This year, Soros plans to give away almost $500 million around the world.
Everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you.
And is giving away his billion.
There you go. I think that I can't remember what it was. There was some kind of a scandal around the Clintons. I think it was Hillary Clinton's brother that was, I don't know, involved in some kind of farming or fruit or something in there. Anyway, they've just been fleecing those people and supporting the Duvalier family. The Duvaliers were, the kind of crime family that was running Haiti for decades there. Okay, and here is Kirk Lubinov on Twitter, and he says, Haiti is an interesting case. Canada has been giving them over $100 million per year for over a decade now. Apparently, Haiti's national development plan is consistent with Canada's feminist international assistance policy, whatever that is, facepalm. But the climate change part seems to have worked. They got $100 million in 2022, over $100 million in promised spending in 2023, and just a couple of weeks ago, another $123 million to improve security in Haiti. What was achieved for the almost $2 billion Canadian taxpayers sent them? The Liberals need to confirm that the latest $123 million isn't funding cannibal gangs that have been sent out yet. I'll get to that in a second, but that is what's going all over Twitter here right now, is that these gangs are cannibalizing people in the streets. And here is the graphic that he's tweeting out here. This is from a Government of Canada website, apparently. Canada announces $123 million in funding to improve security in Haiti. The government of Canada's priorities are consistent with the action areas in Canada's feminist international assistance policy and Haiti's national development plan. Since 2022, Canada has invested over $100 million in Haiti in international assistance in health, education, governance, security, and in the fight against corruption and impunity, food security, economic growth, and climate change. Yeah, money well spent, I am sure. Okay, and here is this is Dom Luker again, and he is tweeting this out. Breaking exclusive. Haiti gang leader Jimmy Cherizier, aka Barbecue, said if Haiti PN Ariel Henry doesn't resign, Haiti will have a genocide. Barbecue went on to say if the prime minister insists on staying in power, they can all expect a civil war against Ariel in the international community. Barbecue went on to call out the United States, Canada, and Africa. I translated this video the best I could. The full speech with my citations is much longer. Okay, so this is his translation. It's the internet. Take it for what it's worth, but here is Barbecue.
Ever see the journey begins with a single step. The path is long, but worth the effort. The effort is worth the destination. It's not about holding. If Arianui makes these international communities resign, continue to support Arianui. The night is still young, the fire of youth, such beautiful chaos. Remember the land of our dreams. International communities, especially the United States, Canada, Africa, the pro-government ones, there's pretty much a whole peasant chapter. Thank you. Whether from the mountain or the valley, it's all the same. Whether by chance or by a decisive moment. Just your last and recover completely your anxiety. Ever see?
Okay. So there's Barbecue. Apparently he's a former police officer too. And you can see he's carrying a rifle with him, and he's got a tack vest on. So they certainly appear to be revolutionaries. And here is No Few Torney, and they say Haitians admitting on camera that cannibalism is a common practice in Haiti. Please retweet and spread the word. Now we understand Dominicans a little bit. Haitianos. Okay, I'm not sure what that says. It looks like it's in Spanish or something. Okay, so here is a video, and the caption here reads, Haitian woman begs Dominican border officials to open the gates because she doesn't want to be eaten in Haiti. She's saying, let me out of here. I don't want, I'll give the translation, to be here. In evil spirits, they tell me that people get eaten here. Bad things happen here. No, I want to go there. I've had it with the Dominican Republic. So she's begging the Dominican border officials to open the gates because she doesn't want to be eaten in Haiti. In Haiti, it said that the Haitian people, how true it is that, or that they eat people. This is you. People are being eaten. Then in Haiti, people are eaten. In Haiti, more people are consumed than beef because in Haiti, there is no meat. The only meat available is human flesh. Yes, they do it. People in Haiti are eating. That's why I don't go to Haiti. I don't eat meat. I don't eat anything from Haiti unless it's coming from his family. And yeah, so these are censored pictures of cannibalism taking place in Haiti. A lot of this stuff has been getting taken down from X as well. And I have seen the videos. I'm not going to be able to line them up now because they are being taken down from X with the actual events of cannibalism, but I was able to dig this up. This is the Hindu Times from yesterday. And they say, does viral video show Haitian gang eating human body parts? Truth behind the incident. Amid escalating gang violence in Haiti, a disturbing video has surfaced on social media showing an alleged gang member engaging in cannibalism. Amid escalating gang violence in Haiti, a disturbing video has surfaced on social media showing an alleged gang member engaging in cannibalism. Quote, disturbing footage of the Haitian cannibal gang eating body parts of one of their victims as he cooks in the fire, close quote. An Instagram post reads. The same video has been shared across other social media platforms, including X. The video shows a man chewing on something that looks like a human finger. Then he proceeds to tear flesh out of the leg of a person seen burning. The truth behind the video. The video has not been independently verified by any news agency. However, according to the Times Now, agencies on social media have revealed that the video is 2 years old and has nothing to do with the current unrest. Although the incident may be true, it is not related to the current situation in the Caribbean nation. One other shared the video with the caption, quote, it turns out that this video is from over 2 years ago of a battle between Grand Griff in T. Mepri gangs in the Ardabonite Valley. It has absolutely nothing to do with Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier or today's uprising. The man pictured did this gruesome act to terrorize his rivals, close quote. The Post added that the reports came from journalists who covered the Haiti situation for years. The United States said that it has airlifted non-essential embassy staff from Haiti as gang violence worsened. Americans have reportedly boosted security at their mission in the capital, Port-au-Prince. This comes after the airport police stations and prisons were attacked by gangs this month. The aim is to get Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry removed. What began as a 3-day state of emergency has now been extended by a month. Quote, heightened gang violence in the neighborhood near the U.S. Embassy compounds and near the airport led to a State Department's decision to arrange for the departure of additional embassy personnel, close quote. The embassy posted on social media. Okay, so it does appear that, yes, there has been some cannibalism between rival gangs in Haiti previously, but the video that was being shared, the one that I saw making the rounds most prominently, was a couple of years old, and it was between rival gangs. It didn't have anything to do with the fighters that are currently demanding the resignation of the prime minister. That appears to be something else. But here is Don Luker again, and he says, developing Haitians are actually blaming the United States and Israel for the recent gang uprising in Haiti so Western nations can steal their iridium. Haiti currently has the second largest deposit of iridium in the world. They're also stressing that this is a Democrat operation. George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Mark Zuckerberg, Ben Netanyahu, and many other prolific figures are being named and sent to my DM. The residents of Haiti, I am one of the few journalists that share both sides, so please continue to send me content, and I will research. With the war in Israel, I provided news for the Israelis and Palestinians until I decided to stop covering the war. Okay, so a couple of things on this. Now, like George Soros and Hillary Clinton, yeah, they were definitely in there for, to carve up Haiti for, I think, their own profiteering. Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know about that one. And Benjamin Netanyahu, this is where I find it gets a little bit specious because they're calling it a Democrat operation, but Benjamin Netanyahu is a right-winger and the Democrats hate him, and he got along really well with Donald Trump. So the Democrats hate him. It's the same thing with Modi. They're right-wing governments, so I find that one to be a little bit specious. But if Soros and Clinton were in there, it's probably got everything to do with how the country ended up destroyed. So here he's tweeting out some different graphics about how Mossad and the CIA trained Colombians and assassinated Haiti's president. And here is Haiti, the second largest deposit of iridium. Iridium is the rarest and most expensive precious metal on Earth. It is used to nukes, underground bunkers, military equipment, and many other industrial use. It has been compared to what depicted the Black Panther movement as vibranium. Okay, whatever. I don't know about all that. But anyway, there is this other claim about Haiti having these massive deposits of iridium, and maybe it's got something to do with that. That does appear to be the case. Here's the Canada-Haiti Information Project. Haiti has the world's second largest iridium deposits. As difficult to work with as it is rare, iridium is found in large quantities in Haiti's southeast, which has the second largest reserves in the world. The metal is today worth more than gold and Bitcoin. Its resistance to high temperatures and corrosion makes it almost indispensable in the manufacturing of aircraft engines and deep water pipelines. Its exploitation could be a lever for the revival of the Haitian economy and the creation of millions of jobs, argues the economics professor, Dr. Henry Vixemer. So yeah, they do have all this iridium there. Now, whether we can actually conclude that that has anything to do with what's going on there right now, I think really remains to be seen. Whether this is all orchestrated, it's always a stretch when you're going for that. But we'll keep an eye on this thing. Right now, all we know is that gangs are taking over. The claim that they're cannibalizing seems a bit specious right now. It seems like it's something that's happened in the past, but doesn't appear to be a modus operandi for the guys that are engaged in this takeover right now. But they did let a lot of criminals out of the prisons, so who knows what they're getting up to. And we'll have to keep an eye on it. Now, speaking of these jet airplane engines and how iridium is so great for them, here is a look back. I've shown this here before. Boeing failed over 37% of FAA audits. So this tweet is new, but this footage of this plane catching on fire, this is a 737 catching on fire in the sky, is not new. So back to the tweet. Boeing recently fired the head of their 737 MAX program, and their jets have suffered multiple issues over the past few weeks, such as setting themselves on fire, parts dropping off them, and losing control mid-air. Sources, New York Times. And here is the footage. This is over the Miami airport, apparently.
Oh my God, it's on fire. Oh my God. Sorry. It's on fire. Mom. Holy shit. I hope they're okay. I wonder if they're doing an emergency. Oh. No, it's still doing it. It's still doing it. Oh my.
So it looks like an engine fire. I showed this here previously, but it's pretty extraordinary. And, I think the standards are probably going to crap there. And also, we have an awful lot of jabbed pilots out there. I don't think we've seen the full fallout of that yet. So I'm a little wary when it comes to air travel at the moment. But I did travel down to DC there recently by air. So. And here is John Basham on Twitter, and he said, breaking: Boeing workers secretly records other Boeing employees admitting they would not fly on their own aircraft. So this is a little over about a minute and a half here. This is some candid camera footage, some hidden camera footage of inside one of their production facilities. Here we go.
In Charleston are assembling the company's flagship product, the 787 Dreamliner. But this footage reveals some have little faith in the plane they build.
Did you fly on one? No. You won't fly on one. Did you fly on one of these planes? No, not really.
Of 15 workers asked randomly, 10 said they would not fly on the Dreamliner.
I wouldn't fly on one of these planes because I see the quality going down around here.
An employee captured the footage after contacting Al Jazeera to tell us he had serious concerns about what he was seeing. At his request, we changed his voice.
With all the problems reported on the 787, there's 90% that's getting swept away, hushed up. It's an iceberg.
In another meeting, the source told us workers are often underskilled, uncaring, and in some cases on drugs.
I've seen a lot of things that should not go on at an airplane plant. People talking about doing drugs, looking for drugs.
It's all coke and painkillers, and what's that other one? You can get weed here. It's really good weed here. They don't drug test nobody.
I know they don't.
There's people who go out there and watch go smoke one up.
Do they?
Hell yeah.
Over the
Yeah, that's probably not good. Cora was just saying job pilots and DEI, what could go wrong? Yeah, no kidding. The DEI, the hiring practice is no longer based on meritocracy. Probably doesn't bode well for flight safety either. Now here's Lord Bebo saying, now imagine the formulation if it would be in Russia. Want to suggest one? And he's tweeting out this BBC article. John Barnett had worked for Boeing for 32 years until his retirement in 2017. In the days before his death, he had been giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Boeing said it was saddened to hear of Mr. Barnett's passing. The Charleston County coroner confirmed his death to the BBC on Monday. It said the 62-year-old had died from a quote-unquote self-inflicted wound on March 9th, and police were investigating. So this is just the other day. Looks like this guy got Epsteined or Clinton, whatever the case may be. And here's Concerned Citizen, and they say the Boeing whistleblower, 62-year-old John Barnett, was found dead inside his truck in a hotel parking garage just days after recording this. Probably just a coincidence? Yeah, I don't know, but here it is.
One, this is not a 737 problem, it's a Boeing problem. When I first started working at Charleston, I was in charge with pushing back defects to our suppliers. I take a group of inspectors and actually go to the supplier and inspect their product before they sent it in. Well, I'd taken a team of 4 inspectors to Spirit Aerosystems to inspect the 41 section before they sent it to Charleston. And we found 300 defects. Some of them were significant that needed engineering intervention. When I returned to Charleston, my senior manager told me that we had found too many defects and he was going to take the next trip. So the next trip he went on, he took 2 of my inspectors. And when they got back, they were given accolades for only finding 50 defects. So I pulled that inspector aside and I said, did Spirit really clean up their act that quick? That don't sound right. And she was mad. She said, no. Said the 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41 section and they were kicked off the airplane.
Yeah. So watch out for those Boeings, guys. I'm not so sure that I'm going to be too eager to travel by air anytime soon. And this guy, yeah, who knows what happened here, but it's all highly sus. Okay, moving on. Here is the National comPost, and article is first reading the rank extremism of Saturday's anti-Israel protest on Parliament Hill. Drum Corps calling for violent revolution, speeches explicitly praising October 7th massacres, an illegal speaker system broadcasts Zionists are terrorists throughout the downtown. And I showed the footage here yesterday while we had a friend of the program, Chris Dacey, on, and he was tweeting that out. And the reason I want to show this here now is because they actually quoted the podcast from yesterday, if you can believe that. They quoted Chris. Okay, so first reading is a daily newsletter. Okay, who cares? The top story. The October 7th massacre was openly celebrated in front of Parliament Hill on Saturday as part of a massive anti-Israel demonstration that also included a full drum corps calling for a, quote, intifada revolution, close quote. Quote, what we saw on the 7th of October and what we continue to see every day since the amazing bravery and resilience and resistance of the Palestinian people to take every step necessary to liberate every Palestinian prisoner from the jails of the Zionist regime, close quote, said Speaker Charlotte Cates to cheers from the assembled crowd. Now, I showed some stuff here yesterday, and it was from Mossab Hassan Youssef, who is the son of Hamas founder, turncoated to whistleblower who stopped an awful lot of suicide bombings from taking place in Israel during the Intifada, the second Intifada. He was tweeting out who some of these prisoners are, and one of them is a prolific suicide bomber. So that's who they're trying to get out of the prisons is some of their best foot soldiers, I guess, some of their best explosive experts. Cates is the co-founder of Simiduan Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network, a Canadian headquartered group that was recently banned in Germany due to its openly pro-Hamas stance, which German legislators denounce as quote-unquote anti-Semitic and quote-unquote inhuman, close quote. Now, this Samiduan Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network, Andy Lee was showing a bunch of tweets on that there yesterday. She was tracing down the funding, and that this does seem to be the group from which the funding originates when it comes to, busing all these people in from outside of Ottawa and just the funding these movements in general. Since 2022, Cates has also been banned entry into the European Union due to Simiduan's close ties with the Popular Front of the Liberation of Palestine, a listed terror group whose members participated in the October 7th massacres. Research by Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs has even called it, quote unquote, likely that the Simiduan is directly funneling Canadian donations into Gazan terrorism. Well, we're doing that already. We're funding UNRWA again. So, it's coming directly from our government anyway. Nevertheless, Cates was featured speaker Sunday at the Saturday rally, where she delivered multiple calls praising the quote-unquote armed resistance in Gaza. She delivered her speech from a lectern installed in front of the Peace Tower and was flanked throughout by men whose faces were shrouded by red keffiyehs. Keffiyeh face coverings were similarly presented on the members of a drum corps that could be seen leading chants of, quote, there is only one solution, intifada revolution, close quote, an explicit call for Israel's violent destruction. Yeah, that's about the size of it. I'm not aware of any intifada ever taking place that didn't involve the armed attacks against Jews. Okay, quote, all the Zionists are racist, all Zionists are the terrorists, close quote, when another chant broadcast through the commercial speaker units were installed on scaffolding erected in the middle of Wellington Street, the road immediately running in front of Parliament's buildings. Chris Dacey is an Ottawa area carpenter who was among the Freedom Convoy demonstrators evicted from the downtown Ottawa 2 years ago. He documented Saturday's rally by video in part to draw a distinction between its treatment by Ottawa authorities and the treatment of convoy protesters when they convened for an anniversary rally last month. Yeah, we did some of that compare and contrast on the program here yesterday. And big shout out, of course, to Dacey for providing all of this coverage. And he's getting picked up all the time, man. It's great to see him getting this kind of traction. He gets picked up by Rebel News. Now he's getting picked up by National Post. So making waves in the mainstream. That was the title of the program, actually, before I found the potentially unsafe content warning from the AI there. So making waves in the mainstream. Well done, Dacey. And it says, in a Monday podcast experience, Dacey said, quote, their speaker system was loud enough that you could hear it clearly from blocks away. It was loud, close quote. So that was yesterday on this program. Isn't that cool? Dacey also noted the frequent use of, quote, quote, shut it down, close quote, chants. Quote, they've proven again and again that they're capable of shutting down whatever they want in Ottawa, close quote, he said. The rally was officially known as the National March on Ottawa for Gaza, which organizers billed as the, quote, largest pro-Palestine protest in Canadian history, close quote. Quote, shut down the capital for Gaza, close quote, was the tagline advertised by organizer Montreal for Palestine. Although the prime target was Israel, organizers demanded that Canada sever all conceivable ties with Israel and treat it as a pariah state. Quote, Canada continues to support the apartheid state, making it complicit in the ongoing genocide against Palestinians, close quote, reads one call out for the March 9th event. Now, there are 2 million Arabs who live in Israel and are full citizens and vote and run for office and end up being high justices on their courts. The apartheid state narrative is another one of these kind of communist narratives that's very much in line with the communist narrative around colonialism. You'll see that they hurl all those same tropes at Israel that they do at Canada and in the West more broadly. And that's been going on since the 50s. Russia kind of started that with the colonialist, the exacerbation of grievances over colonialism. It's part of their propaganda narrative. And I think that China has really picked up on it, and they are the center of gravity in the current, what is World War III. It's just not kinetic at the current moment. So, okay, back to the article. The demonstration reportedly featured just one Canadian flag, and it was held by a solo protester who had apparently come to the Hill to lead an unrelated protest against Bill C-63, the Liberals' proposed online harms bill. A video shot by Dacey showed the man surrounded by a group of 4 demonstrators clad in black, with faces covered by gas masks. I think these guys are just reporting on my podcast, because those were the clips that we were showing here yesterday. The promotional video for the march showed small children in keffiyehs leading the anti-Israel chants, including, quote, "Netanyahu, you can't hide," close quote, and, quote, "the young haven't forgotten and we will return," close quote. Ottawa police were given advance warning of the demonstration and instituted street closures and parking bans across the Ottawa core in response. Quote, "Commuters may wish to consider alternate routes where possible," close quote, read an official public alert to Ottawans. But demonstrators were apparently able to overwhelm police cordons, march down unapproved routes, climb onto the roofs of neighboring buildings, and also set off a stream of smoke bombs. That was the Spider-Man that we showed here, climbing up on a building nearby and setting off the green smoke bombs there. And that is the Hamas color, clearly. But, quote, "Once again, Ottawa continues to face challenges for how to maintain the peace during protests," close quote, was the review of Ottawa City Councillor Sean Devine. Quote, "The scale of these events is not something that Ottawa Police or the City of Ottawa can be expected to manage," close quote. Devine uploaded the comment alongside video of, quote, "Palestinian Spider-Man," close quote, a man in a Spider-Man costume and keffiyeh face covering who climbed the top of the Bank of Canada Museum and set off a green smoke flare. And we showed that there yesterday. There's the video. Bus travel to the capital was coordinated by the groups of Toronto for Palestine and Montreal for Palestine, both of whom were open advocates for Israel's violent destruction and have been behind many of the blockades, boycotts of Jewish stores, and disruptions that have characterized the Canadian anti-Israel cause since October 7th. For Montrealers, for instance, $45 purchased a round-trip coach ticket to the demonstration. The demonstrations yielded no response from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who was often a personal target of speakers. Quote, "Justin Trudeau, you're complicit in a genocide," close quote, went one amplified chant that could be heard across much of the downtown core. But on Monday, Trudeau issued a public statement that mirrored one of the demonstration's demands for an immediate Israeli ceasefire that would have the effect of leaving Hamas in control of the Gaza Strip. And I've been pointing this out too. I'm like, what do they expect Justin Trudeau to do? He's already called for the ceasefire, and they voted for it at the UN. Melanie Joly did. We don't have any control over this situation. They've already capitulated, as most of the progressives have. Quote, "As Muslim communities begin observing Ramadan tonight, I know the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is weighing heavy on their celebrations," close quote, he wrote in a social media post. Quote, "I'm reaffirming Canada's call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and for aid to reach civilians in need without delay. I'm reaffirming Canada's call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and for aid to reach civilians in need without delay," close quote. Did he just repeat himself, or is that something the editor didn't catch? And it's Ramadan too, which is known. I mean, Ramadan bombathon has been a thing for years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see some more terrorism around this particular issue in the coming months. One of the protests' other demands would actually be fulfilled by the Trudeau government even before the demonstration had a chance to begin. Last week, an early call out for the National March in Gaza would state that it was being organized in part to demand, quote, "immediate reinstatement of UNRWA funding," close quote. Well, they did that already. They're funding UNRWA again, even though we know now that not only did they provide aid and protection and comfort to the material aid and support to Hamas in Gaza, but they actually participated, like their employees participated in the massacre. Canada suspended UNRWA funding last month following the release of evidence that multiple UNRWA employees had allegedly participated in the October 7th massacre, with hundreds more Gazan employees accused by Israel of working as terror operatives. But Ottawa restored funding on Friday, saying it was satisfied with the pledges from UNRWA that they would strengthen oversight. Okay, yeah, UN oversight. Well done, everybody. Okay, and here is a little bit of the footage from the demonstration over the weekend here. Aurelia, Tortured Poet version, says, just the weekly chants justifying the murder of Jews and Canadian Jews have had to become accustomed to due to the lack of leadership from our politicians at all levels. Yeah, they're fence sitters. They're trying to play both sides of the fence here. So here is some of the footage.
Intifada, intifada. Long live intifada. There is only one solution. There is only one solution. There is only one solution.
Yeah, one solution, intifada revolution. So if that's not a call to violence, then I don't know what is. But because I've never known intifada to be anything but violent. And here is Katie Smith now. After gathering at the Nuremberg bandshell in Central Park for a rally, pro-Israel demonstrators are marching through the park chanting, quote, "Bring them home now." So here's a look at the other side of the coin. I think this is, this looks like a pretty standard sort of peaceful protest, but here we go. Oh. The video is not loading. Let me try and hit this refresh button here so we can see it. There we go. Okay. Stephanie is saying OPS told us in Ottawa that we are not allowed to have any voice magnification devices. Guess it only applies to Freedom Peeps. Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Like we were showing some of those clips doing the compare and contrast here yesterday. Yeah, they'll shut down. Now, mind you, there was a judge's order that went into place that said that the Freedom Peeps can use the voice amplification devices as well. And I saw some footage there where somebody was out there reading through an amplification device that judge's decision to the police. So it looks like that's another front on which we're getting some wins. Here's Cindy saying calm, peaceful, and no hiding their faces. Yeah, that is kind of the contrast that I'm trying to draw here. Is these people are calm and peaceful and non-threatening, not hiding their faces or any of this, except for this lady here who seems to have maybe a cold. Bring them home! Bring them home! Oh, no, she's not wearing a mask at all. Just going to look like that for a second. Okay, and here's the clip for the UNRWA funding. Rebel News is tweeting out, Canada is resuming funding for UNRWA, says International Development Minister Ahmed Hassan. Funding was suspended without missing a payment after it was revealed UNRWA staff collaborated with Hamas during the October 7th terror attack against Israel. So well done pointing that out. They didn't even miss a payment. They just said, we're going to suspend the funding, and no funding was withheld. So again, I think they're trying to play both sides of the fence here. They're trying to appear as if they're supporting. I don't know what they're doing, but they're just they're playing both sides. So
in January, Canada announced a temporary pause on future funding to UNRWA. This difficult but necessary decision was taken alongside many donor countries, following disturbing allegations that some of UNRWA employees participated in the horrific October 7th terrorist attacks against Israel. Today, I'm announcing that Canada's funding for UNRWA will resume. The decision is in recognition of the serious and significant processes that the United Nations has undertaken to address the issues in UNRWA, and the recognition of the critical role that UNRWA plays in providing much needed support to over 2 million Palestinians in Gaza, as well as the broader region, millions more in the broader region. Let me emphasize our position. There must be zero tolerance for terror-related activities within the United Nations, including in UNRWA. Canada has reviewed the interim report of the investigation conducted by the United Nations, and we're closely following this investigation as well as the conclusion of the broader independent review being conducted by former French Foreign Minister Colonna. I was in Rafah just 2 weeks ago, Rafah, Egypt, where I met courageous Canadian humanitarian workers who are doing everything that they can to save lives in Gaza. I saw hundreds of trucks filled with life-saving supplies stuck at the border, waiting to enter. And some of these trucks had been stationed at the border for over 2 weeks.
Yeah, and when they get in there, Hamas will swarm them and steal all the supplies for themselves. I've shown footage of that here as well. It's terrible how these people in Gaza are caught in the middle. A lot of them, of course, do support Hamas. It's a pretty sad situation. Elon Musk, I think, had the good take on it there, where he was saying, you know, it's basically a three-prong approach. It's the same kind of approach that I talk about. Destroy Hamas, reform education, promote prosperity, turn Gaza into, you know, South Korea or Japan, for that example. That's the model that seems to work. None of these half measures that I think a lot of these people are promoting right now. Okay, that brings us all the way up to the Veterans for Freedom website here, folks. You can join Veterans for Freedom. Oh, I don't have the right page on here, but this is the support fund. We're putting up our recipients here. Everybody who donates gets a chance to vote on where the funds go at the end of the month. And you can sign up for a subscription with your credit card by clicking one of the buttons here. If you don't want to use your credit card, then please send your e-transfer to fund@veteransforfreedom.ca, preferably with the auto deposit enabled. But if you're not able to do that, please use the password FUND4FREEDOM. That's all caps fund, number 4, all caps freedom, and we'll make sure that that gets off to a worthy cause. And that brings us all the way back around to Christopher Hitchens. He says, never be a spectator of unfairness or stupidity. Seek out argument and disputation for their own sake. The grave will provide plenty of time for silence. Inspirational words from a great, great boomer. Definitely one of my favorite authors, and that's from Letters to a Young Contrarian, if anybody's interested. So it's a pretty great book that I should probably read it again at some point. It's been a number of years. Okay, I'm just going to throw to a couple of comments here. That's it for me today, guys. And Headley BC says, thanks for your efforts. My pleasure. I don't know what else I'd be doing with myself if it wasn't to continue to serve Canada. I haven't missed a war yet. First Afghanistan, then Iraq, and now the Canadian Communist coup. Kayan is asking, could you put the e-transfer address in the comments, please? 1 second here, and I'll just pull it up again. Veterans number 4, freedom.ca, and I'm dropping it in the comments for you guys right now. There we go. Okay, and Colleen says, thank you, Jeff. It's my pleasure. Marion says, thank you, Jeff. Awesome show, as always. My pleasure. Thank you very much for tuning in. Lorianne says, thanks, Jeff, and giving us the hearts. So appreciate it, guys. Darlene is here saying, glad I got on the live, even though I was booted. Great info. Thanks, Jeff. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Yeah, everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, guys, stay frosty and stay safe.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs.